Okay, let's talk about cultures. One of the important principles to know is what we call context. Context is very important because it forms the dimension or the frame through which we observe a culture. I would like to elaborate on this by using an analogy. This is a bee. Now, if I observe this bee through the context of a beekeeper, I will view it and perceive it in a positive manner, and it will be reflected in my behavior towards the bee. I want to grow that bee, make houses for it, take care of it, because it's a source of my livelihood. However, if I observe this bee through the context of somebody who's allergic to bee venom, then I'm going to perceive it in a negative way, and it's going to be reflected in my behavior towards it. I probably want to exterminate all bees. And so you see, it's the same bee, it hasn't changed, but because of the context through which we observe it, our behavior changes. Now, if we carry this analogy when we talk about cultures, this is an iceberg. It's made of two parts. One part is observable, it is above sea level, but it is dependent on a big part that is submerged under sea level and we don't usually see. And people use this when they talk about cultures. Let's say we're talking about the Arab culture. There's an observable part to the Arab culture, which is usually how people are dressed, what words they use, and how they behave. And this is directly dependent on the submerged or the hidden part of the culture, which forms the Arab context. Now, if somebody who's coming to live or work or visit an Arab country, he will see the observables, he will notice how people are dressed differently than his culture, the words they use, the behaviors they use. However, he's going to interpret these according to his own context, which is also culturally related. Now, depending how far these contexts are apart, it will reflect in his analysis, his acceptance, his positive or negative perception of what he sees of the Arab culture. If we take back the bee analogy, let's say you have a culture that grow bees. A lot of them work as beekeepers, so they're positively related, or they observe these bees positively and they take care of it. Now, somebody comes from a different culture where most of them are allergic to bee venom, so nobody grows a bee. It's against the law to take care of bees. And so he comes to this culture where everybody's growing bees. So how come everybody's not following the law? So he starts killing and destroying the beehives. Now, the beekeepers will observe this aggressive behavior towards them, and they will take it negatively and they will take it personally, and they might of course retaliate in return. However, if they go beyond this and they understand the context that that person is coming from, where it is illegal to grow bees and nobody grows bees because everybody's allergic, they could die from bees, and so they will explain why they're growing these bees. And so when people understand each other's context, then they might come with a solution that works for both of them. And so what I wanted to say is we need to go beyond the observables when we are dealing with different cultures. We need to gather some more information and have an open mind about the submerged or the hidden part of that culture. Because if we do, then we will be able to analyze and have a more realistic view of the words, actions, and dress. And so it might change our perception of it, and it will change how we behave towards that culture, and probably result in a way that is beneficial for both cultures.